You might want to think twice before you buy used Nintendo Switch games, because somebody just bought a $20 cartridge off eBay and it got their brand new $450 Nintendo Switch 2 permanently banned from online play. Not modded, not hacked, just a regular cartridge with a very shady history, and this might be way bigger than anyone realizes. So here's what kicked this off. There's a YouTuber by the name of Quinn Nelson, also known as Snazzy Labs. They're a tech YouTuber with over 1 million subscribers. They tweeted that their Switch 2 got banned right after they inserted a used copy of Bayonetta 3 that they bought off eBay. And according to him, he just bought the cart secondhand, plugged it in like normal, and suddenly got hit with the dreaded console ban message. That means no Splatoon, no Smash, no online Mario Kart World, nothing. His $450 Switch 2 is offline for good. This is scary, guys. The kicker here, though, is that Quinn thinks the cart had been previously dumped using what's called a MIG Switch device, which could have flagged it, you know, from Nintendo's system. They have some kind of like software detection system thingamabobber to prevent piracy. So what's the MIG Switch? If you guys don't know, the MIG Switch is a flash cartridge tool that lets people dump their physical Switch 1 games and unload them onto a micro SD card. You insert it into the cartridge slot, tap a button, and you can cycle through multiple games from one handy little device. You don't have to use multiple cartridges or anything like that. And it sounds convenient, right? But here's the catch. Here's the real issue here. Every legit cartridge, so this little cartridge that you see right here, has what's called a unique game ID tied to it. Okay, so if Nintendo sees multiple consoles using the same ID and they're all logged in online, that's a huge red flag to them. And this is where the bans come in. Like DSP says, banned, 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 gone forever. Not because of piracy, but because of duplication. Okay, even if you didn't do the dumping yourself, your cart might be tainted. So I bought this game used a couple weeks ago from GameStop, and I haven't put it in my Switch 2 yet. I'm glad I didn't, because I could run risk of getting my console banned if this whole story is true. If the last owner of this game used a MIG switch to dump the game onto their micro SD card, even though I didn't do it myself, I'm running risk of my Switch 2 being banned. That is a big yikes. So let's talk about Nintendo Switch 2's detection system, right? The Switch 2 is a much smarter console when it comes to online validation. Some developers actually believe that Nintendo has quietly rolled out some kind of like server-side system that automatically detects cloned cartridge ID. So if these were all cloned, as soon as they go in online, they'll be detected. Okay, it's like a digital fingerprint. Now these aren't all online games actually, but this is just for visual effect right here. All right, so let's say I have Smash Brothers or Splatoon 3, and I put it in. And then there's another person that might have actually previously had it, and it's on their MIG switch. They go online too. If they see 2 or 3 consoles go online with the same ID from the dumped cartridge, that's a instant ban hammer. And that's the terrifying part, because again, like I said, it means you don't have to do anything that is wrong to lose access. You might even be totally innocent buyer, but your used cartridge has a dirty fingerprint on it that gets you flagged. And I think that's actually outrageous. I see on paper what Nintendo's trying to do with it, but this is scary. I'm glad some of my used games I actually bought months ago and haven't even put them into my Switch. I'm glad at that point, especially when you look at right now when you get all these games that have free Switch updates like Super Mario Deluxe and Super Mario Odyssey and Bowser's Fury and Splatoon 3 and Kirby and all those. They got Switch 2 updates. Previous Switch OG games, whichever ones actually have online gameplay, you're running risk of getting your console banned if somebody previously dumped it, if you bought it used. So now Snazzy Labs is insisting they never used a MIG switch on the Switch 2. And people quickly found a tweet actually from back in April where he actually talked about doing exactly that. So people are questioning, is this actually happening, right? He even showed the device on this tweet cycling through Zelda and other games. So he might be backtracking, you know, maybe, maybe not. But it's still raising a massive concern for the rest of us. Regardless of what he did, this opens a very real possibility. Used games bought online might have a history that you can't see, and that history can get you banned. So there's speculation right now because this tweet calling them out that they could be lying about it, that they basically used a MIG switch on the Switch 2 in the past, and they're being called out for it. But you still have the risk of used games, all right? Look, I buy used games all the time. Again, like I said, I just bought Mario and Luigi Brothership the other day. You got Facebook Marketplace, Mercari, eBay, retro stores, you name it. Now I'm wondering how many of those cartridges in a store alone, like what are the odds, have been dumped by a previous owner? Could I get banned just for inserting one of them into my Switch 2, even though I don't even own a MIG Switch? The MIG Switch community is tiny, right? But it only takes one bad cartridge and one ID clash, one false flag, and boom, Nintendo pulls the plug on your account. It's almost like a pandemic, like a virus going out there because somebody decided to dump their Switch game. And we can't do anything about it. So here's the bigger question, right? The real question here is Nintendo going too far with this? Should they be banning consoles just based on duplicate IDs without warning? I get that piracy is a concern, but punishing regular consumers, people that had nothing to do with it, for unknowingly buying a tainted game, I think this is a PR disaster, in my opinion, waiting to happen. If this story gains traction, guys, you could bet it will not be the last time we hear about it. Like, if this thing blows up even more, seen a few people cover it. RGT, for example, covered it today. The used game market's huge. I mean, GameStop is literally a used game chain, right? If Nintendo doesn't clarify things, people are going to get burned, and they're going to be angry. And Nintendo, so far, has been making some questionable anti-consumer decisions as of late. So here is my advice, guys. If you're buying used Switch 1 games for your Switch 2, be extra careful, okay? Buy from trusted sellers. Avoid sketchy listings. If a price seems too good to be true, it probably is. And you can never be too sure on this. Because if the cartridge ID theory with the situation's legit, it means Switch 2 bans are actually going to get a lot more common. And most people won't even know why. They're going to go buy a used game, put it in, and they're going to be like, my banned? And they're going to look this up, and they're essentially going to be upset. Like me, I'm running a risk of banning my console if I buy a used game. You're running a risk. That's not right, okay? Do you think Nintendo's system is fair? Would you still risk buying used games? Let me know in the comments down below, okay? And if you found this video helpful, make sure you hit that like button. It helps this channel grow. Subscribe for more Switch 2 updates, news leaks, you name it, and real talk. Right? Like this. I'm 8-Bit Eric, and I got more coming your way. See you on the next one, guys. Thank you so much for watching, as always.